Well, the honourable member for Chifley.
Deputy Speaker, I'm worried about my friend the member for Kooyong. He didn't deliver that with much vim or vigour. You're not your usual self, member for Kooyong. Normally you're bursting out the gate, and even he cannot come here today and defend this government against its tawdry record, against a failing record, against what everyone knows this government is not up to the job of delivering jobs. And when you look, it's nearly 2 years since this government's been in place, and they are, member for Gellibrand, acting like they're still in opposition. They're always causing a fight, always wanting to find a way to create division. But for nearly 2 years, they have been trying to get through their first budget. For 2 years trying to get through their first budget, a budget that shocked the general public because of the fact that it was such a contrast to what was being promised, what was being suggested would happen when this government got into office compared to what they were planning to do. And they shocked and stunned the public massively. But I've got to say, when you think about that stalled budget, I like reading the Australian Financial Review, especially on the weekends. It's a very good read. And what I like about it is editor Michael Stutchbury's got a sense of humour. He does. I looked on the weekend for a person who had trouble getting his first budget through, that spent most of the first 2 years in office trying to get a budget through. You know what they called him? They called him the delivery man. They called Joe Hockey the delivery man. Mike Stutch has got a great sense of humour. He's got here. Here's a crack-a-lacking read. He was crack-a-lacking. You look at growth, spluttering along, the RBA softening us up for lower growth. Joe Hockey's quote in this article, "Our economy is more robust today than it's ever been." That is the Joe Hockey quote. He reckons it's more robust than it's ever been. The man who struggled to get his own budget through, this is what he said: "Look what we've achieved in the first 22 months, and no one could accuse us of standing still." This is a treasurer who counts going backwards as momentum. He will take that. He will count going backwards as momentum. Look on every single measure, Deputy Speaker, on every single measure. Jobs now higher than what it was in the GFC, highest in 20 years. Highest in 20 years. Backwards on that. He's going to count that as momentum. Growth, I've already mentioned, is already softening and nowhere near the level that will help sustain job growth. Living standards. Living standards is quite a shock and should have received a lot more focus when you consider what is happening on that front. And you can see here that living standards of Australians, as measured by real net national disposable income per capita, gone backwards for 4 straight quarters under this government. Backwards. Look at what's happening with wages. Wages are growing now at the lowest rate of growth since the RBA began records, lowest rate of growth since 1995. And the Treasurer is claiming we're not standing still. He's right. He's not standing still. The economy is going backwards. Growth in wages is flattening. Jobless, higher. Also debt and deficit. They don't talk about that much anymore. Where's the old debt and deficit line that you used to have? Where'd it go? They're right. They're not standing still. Debt and deficit, up. They told us it would go down. It's up. So on every measure, this government has failed us. And the delivery man, what's he delivering? As I said, on every measure, bad news, as the member for Greenway rightly says. Always, all the measures are backwards. And what we have here is we have the member for Kooyong as the Assistant Treasurer. Again, they're talking about we're not going to stand still. Member for Kooyong, the public wants to see us have a tax system that's fit for purpose and that is not being gamed by multinationals. They want to see some response. And the member for Kooyong spent most of his time defending inaction, a failure to actually act on that rate. He talks about approvals. You mentioned project approvals, like that was the hard work of the government. The government had to tick off on an approval and they're claiming credit for it. They're not claiming credit for all the other stuff that's happening in the economy that is going backwards, and they're not acknowledging that. And this is the problem with this government, because they have no creativity, imagination or ability to be able to guide the economy through. All they will do is deliver us division, They'll deliver us argument, they'll deliver us politicking, but they won't deliver what the people want: jobs, growth and a stronger future.